Yo, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my children of all ages? It's your hostess with the mostest. It's PKR, Pastor Keenan Riley, and we are here on another episode of People Suck, Love Them Anyways, and we are dragging our behinds in today. We was just talking beforehand before we got started about it's not really a sleepy tired. It's an exhausted tired. And I don't know, man. I don't know really what's been going on this week. I guess maybe to get so exhausted. Have you had anything crazy? I mean, or like yours?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
that's your life has probably been
yeah.
a little bit crazy, a little bit hectic. But my people's been sick at my house, so I've spent most of the week trying to dodge sickness,
Like
and
Shane Gillis. Oh, almost got
yeah,
me.
yeah, yeah.
Almost got me.
It nicked me
Nick
a
me
little
a little
bit.
bit.
But yeah, so I'm thankful that I didn't get sick. But I don't know, man. I guess preaching today too. Like um, preaching takes a lot. I feel like, especially if you're more like charismatic type. If you're just kind of a message giver, maybe a TED Talk type person or something like that. Maybe it doesn't require as much. But I'll be honest with you, like on Sundays where I'm like all over the stage and like preach really hard and stuff. Like I feel like I've put in like a full workout by the
You
time
ever
by the
like
time that I get done.
you ever like wear an Apple Watch and see how many like calories you
I
burn?
have. I actually done that a couple times, and yeah, and I mean it's like literally clocked me at exercise sometimes. Like now it's not been
It
like a
looks like you're
full.
exercising.
Yeah, yeah, like it's not been a full 30, but like no joke, like 10, 11, 12 minutes type deal, like burning like 400 calories, things like that. And it's like, hey, if you want to lose weight, just preach, and yeah, just preach once a week and just kind of get
You lose a lot of other things.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is true. This is true. But yeah, man, I always feel like I've just kind of like exhausted all of my energy, I guess, by the end of the day. And I guess if you had a rough enough week and you do that, man, you just kind of feel like you're crawling across the finish line type situation.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know. Like you said, your life's
Mm.
been kind of crazy this week, so I guess you kind of have a reason to be exhausted, I guess, right?
Yeah, a little bit. A lot of stuff going on, but it's just like I think it's been just been a hectic like couple of months. Like I was like we were talking. I was praying before service, and I was like there's a lot of people in just our congregation who've been going through a lot in 2025. It's
Yeah.
it's February.
Well,
Like
and a
it's
lot
the
of
second
and
weekend of February.
I guess maybe we feel like the January is always like a long month for some reason, and I get it. It's 31. Like you start off with
Mhm.
31 days, and you're kind
After the
of
biggest, most fun, exciting holidays of the year,
right
typically.
back to back too. Like
Mhm.
you got Christmas and New Year's like right back to back, a
A lot
week
of people taking
apart.
off weeks of work.
Yeah,
And everybody's
yeah,
off school for like 2 3 weeks. Then we had all
yeah.
that ice and
Right.
snow and crap that put people off for another week after all that. And then it's been right and here it's been like so like just this week it was like 30 degrees, then it went up to 67, then it dropped down to 40, and then it's been raining. It's supposed to snow next week. I was like,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Sickness everywhere.
Sickness, yeah, sickness is a big deal too, man. Like a lot of people are dealing with COVID, pneumonia, flu, stomach virus. So I mean, like, yeah, like there
my,
is
my
a
wife, she was here last week. She on the podcast last week. She works at the North Hardin High School. Again, if you listened last week, you know that. But she said 85% of her students had called out last week
that's insane.
from sickness.
That's crazy, man.
Her school has 1,800 kids or something like that in it.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's insane.
yeah. Well, and even in like even in our surrounding area, there's been so many schools this past week that have taken the rest of the week off to try to like contain and
Clean,
and clean,
disinfect.
yeah, things like that. And it's still just like there's a lot to deal with and a lot to go through. So I get it, man. I feel like there's a lot of reason, I guess, to be exhausted. And it's just like, man, there's so much going on. There's transition in the world. I mean, there's
Oh yeah.
you got your stuff happening in Washington, which is also affecting the U.S., but which is also affecting the rest of the world. And so I guess there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of uneasiness.
In a short amount of time too.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, like what is today, the ninth? So really, seriously, like 40 days into the new year, and it's like so much stuff has happened in the first 40 days that it's like maybe the human body is just like
Yeah.
I need to shut down, yeah,
Just
like
dragging.
I need to shut down. Like where's one of those 3-day weekends? We need
Right,
one of those
amen.
3-day
Well, they got
weekends.
President's Day coming up for some people.
Yeah, that's true.
Not
But
me, but some people.
and this may sound like some first world problems maybe, but I mean, don't you think we kind of need a holiday or like a day off after the Super Bowl? Like, what do you
Oh,
think?
I've always said that. I'm the
Yeah,
same way. No, I will also say I'm the same way with Halloween. Like I've always said that like the day after Halloween should be a holiday also.
yeah,
But it's just like I definitely agree. Now, I mean, it's not something. Of course, this is a very American thing, I'm sure. I'm not even all Americans watch the Super Bowl, but I'd say a vast
right.
majority. I mean, we were at everybody in church today. You gonna watch? You gonna watch? Who you going for? Vote not vote for? Who you going for? Who you betting for? No, I'm just kidding. We don't bet in church. But people going back and forth about all this kind of different stuff, and because it is. I mean, now I'll be honest. I feel like when I was younger, the Super Bowls lasted longer than they do now.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember watching the Super Bowl when I was younger, and I mean, I'd be going to bed at like 11, 12. Now the game's over about like 10.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I was like, hey, so I mean, it's not as bad, but you have people at parties, you have people, drinking, eating, whatever. We don't drink either, but drinking, eating, doing all this kind of stuff. But
I'm
just
iffy. I
you're
don't know
iffy.
about
Yeah, we'll
him.
see.
I'm iffy.
I'll tell you what, we're getting close. But it's been back and forth though. It's so I get it. I do think that it's something that I would like to see happen. But again, I work in kind of the healthcare field, so it doesn't really make a difference to me. But
Yeah, you got so much stuff happening again on a Sunday. Like you got the Super Bowl, you got people that are ordering food, that are going to get food. Like you said, they're drinking, they're partying, they're having a good time, they're eating, they're doing all of this good stuff.
and they come into work
And then they
Monday,
come into work.
hungover,
But
tired, fat,
yeah, but it's crazy to
angry or
see.
something.
I think it's crazy to see too how many people take vacation days,
Mhm.
like the day after the Super Bowl, and it's just like,
Yeah, we were making a joke too, because this is semi-related, but like supposedly, we'll find out for sure. But this year the new Grand Theft Auto is supposed to be coming out.
yeah, I've seen that.
It's GTA 6 or whatever, and everybody's talking about like the amount of adult males that are going to call off work the day of and the day after that game
Yeah,
comes out.
yeah.
Is that like seriously, like the market is preparing for it.
Hmm.
Like I've seen videos like where people are like, "Hey, this is going to happen.
Yeah,
Like we're gonna have massive calls outs that week,
yeah.
so people can play this." Of course, waited since like what 2013. It's been over 10 years.
It's
Since the
almost
last
like
one
it's
did,
almost like college football.
Mhm.
I mean, college football was kind of like the same. I don't know if people took off days of work because I think
They
it
did.
came. Did it come out? I thought it came out like on a Friday or
I can't
Saturday,
remember the
but
exact date.
yeah, I'm sure. I'm
I'll
sure
still
they
be
did.
playing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it.
I'll still be
I
playing
mean,
it.
I still do too. Yeah, it was kind of the same way where it was like people calling off work and things like that, and so, but I mean, it makes you, I guess, kind of stop back or kind of stand back and think about how our bodies react to everything that's going on and how I mean, I know we all got to go to work, we all got a job to do, like we all just can't sit at home and not do anything, but
Unfortunately,
right, but I think it's like important to kind of like you said, like your body talks to you, like
Mhm.
whether you want it to or not, like your body is telling you if you're tired, if you're exhausted, like you need to stop. You need to
Make some kind of change.
yeah, well but I feel like you need to hydrate. I feel like you need to rest. I feel like you need to like let's put off what we think is important. Like let's put that off and just and if you don't like if you keep running and you keep going, that's causing that's causing your immune system to drop. That's causing I mean it's causing undue stress and anxiety, which in turn is going to make you sick, which in turn is going to it's gonna have you to miss more time maybe from work or whatever the case is. And so maybe I'm not like lobbying for like I don't know, man. I don't know really how to say it. Like, don't you think it would be cool to be like I don't know I don't know how you would do it to keep people from abusing it, but to be like, you know what, like today, like I'm stressed, I am tired, I am
Mhm.
exhausted. Let me take a vacation day. Like how many like types like it's an unlimited amount of vacation days, but without abusing them. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like yeah, I know you'd have to put like some guidelines in place and stuff, but I know there's one country out there. I keep on misquoting. I don't know if it's Norway, Sweden, something like that
Mhm.
that has like
One of
a
the many countries that have it right, and America doesn't.
yeah,
But,
they have like a 32-hour work week or like a 32-hour work week, and it's like 4 8-hour days basically, and that's it.
Mhm.
And
That'd be amazing.
it would, and it's like you think about how like
But I mean, and we say that, right? And then I can't. I mean, I know that even if I was given a 4-day work week, I'd still want a 3-day work week. Like I think, I mean, I do think it would be helpful.
yeah,
Like I mean, I do think it would be nice little break. But I mean, I just think and it's weird because I'd say it's kind of like it started something that started in like your generation and has just gotten worse into my generation, and then the generations after me is going to even be even worse. You know, I mean, it's just like the amount of stress. It's basically gotten to the point like we don't want to deal with or put up with crap that we don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we sit there and go to work for 40 hours a week, and then we have people who expect us to do more than 40 hours a week, and we're trying to balance that on top of families, on top of job, or on top of church, on volunteer opportunity, whatever else it is that you're balancing and juggling. It just becomes this point where and I mean, I know it has to be a thing. 'Cause I mean, I see it all over Instagram, all over TikTok, all over my friends and people I talk to. For the most part, everybody is just tired of working so much. We're putting so much effort, so much time, so much energy into things that we don't care about, don't want to do, don't have passion for. And again, you can beat me upside the head and say, you just need to put in more work, more energy, so you can have more time off, and you can be the one making decisions. Shut up. I mean, it's to the point now, because I mean, I guess there's a group of people out there who think, and you see that a lot, especially if you are in the United States, like the remote work situation going on right now.
Yeah.
People throwing a fit, trying to force people to go back into the office, and like I was just calling them out, Fox News, the 5 or something like that the other day.
The 5 at 5.
Yeah, the 5 something like that.
Yeah.
And I was watching that. I was picking up my kid from my parents' house, and they came on, they were talking about the work from home situation, and this guy gets on there and he starts ranting and raving about the work from home situation. He's like, all these lazy, freaking useless human beings want to just sit at home and watch porn all day. They are not doing any work. They just want to stay home so they can do what they want to do and watch porn and do. I'm like, dude, like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, I hear people sometimes, and I see people say things, do things. I'm like, what? Like, why do you have to be such an a-hole?
I would say ignorance.
Like,
why do you have to? Yeah, why do you have to spew so much ignorance out?
I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I just want, like, and we talked about this before. Like, even like both of us, like our full-time normal jobs, we could both do those jobs fully from home.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just like, and we've had days where we do work from home.
Yeah.
Occasionally, but very, very rarely for me. But you get like 2 days a week.
Every week. Yeah, every week.
But it's just like how much less stressful it is, how much more relaxing it is, and we still get our work done, we still do what we need to do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we don't have this pressure of having to deal with people or please people or talk to people, or we can have more flexibility. And I think that flexibility goes back to what you're talking about, like the extra day off. It helps people. They don't feel so under pressure. They don't feel so routine. They don't feel so bogged down, because it gives them that flexibility.
Right. Well, this is according to an AI overview, but it says
that's wonderful.
Right. Well, it says while no country has fully implemented a mandatory 4-day work week across the board, Iceland is considered a leader in this area, having conducted one of the largest trials of a 4-day work week between 2015 and 2019, with significant results showing improved employee well-being and productivity.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen that in every research done about 4-day work week. Is everybody says that you're more productive, your mental health's better, everything.
Yeah, and I could see that. I mean, like, because
so why do we hold on to it?
Because I mean that's it. I've always said that when America went to a 24-hour a day like work schedule, that's where we literally, that's where we kind of bit ourselves in the hind end or kicked ourselves in the hind end. And at that point, it's like, New York is considered the city that never sleeps. So it's always going, it's always going. And I think it's crazy. I read this the other day that we are the only mammals that alternate our sleep patterns. Mm-hmm. That everything else is like, go at day, sleep at night. But for us, we alter our sleep patterns. Why? Because now we are not only the city that never sleeps, but we are the country that never sleeps. Like, there's manufacturing jobs that go 24/7. There's healthcare that's 24/7 and things like that. And so, and I think in some needs, like your healthcare fields, yeah, absolutely. Like, you need that.
Well, that's where it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
You chose to work in that field.
But I think we need around the clock care for those people. Like, I can see that. But like, you're talking about like these factory jobs. I mean, Amazon, again, like your industrial jobs, your manufacturing jobs, things like that, where it's like, we're asking people to not only, alter their sleep patterns and go night shift, but we're also asking them to work past 40 hours, sometimes in the realm of 50, 60 hours a week. And then, without getting into too much of a hot button topic of taxes, and things like that right now, like we know our government's crazy about spending, but like, you think about the taxes, like you're putting in all that time to make money to alter your sleep pattern. But then by the time that taxes and healthcare and everything else comes out of it, like you're literally making pennies upon pennies at that point. So you might be getting ahead a little bit, but what are you sacrificing? You're sacrificing your health. You're sacrificing your family. You're sacrificing, I mean, just basically everything just to get to that point. And then like again, I mean, there's so much that exhaustion I feel like can lead into. Your health, it affects your home life. It affects your relationships. I mean, my God, be around somebody that hadn't got any sleep, and they're angry, they're agitated.
My wife 24.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going to help her, but just they're so snippy and so just like and it's like it seems like any little thing was going to set them off into like this rage or rant or whatever. And it's from exhaustion, but it's like, what are we doing that is exhausting us? Is it work? Is it everything that we put into our daily lives? Because like whenever you said, why have we not abandoned this 5, 6, 7 day work schedule and went to a 4-day, 8-hour day work week? Like, why haven't we went there? And it is. I mean, that's what I was going to say. Because even if we had a free day and we had more time, let's just say everybody worked 8 to 3 and that's it. And after that, everything just shut down, whatever the case is. If that was the case, man, what would we fill our time with? Do you think people would be home, resting, putting in more time, again, hydrating, spending more time with their family, resting, getting their bodies right, exercise? Yeah, exactly. Do you think that they would be doing that? Or do you think that they would be like, an extra day? Now I can run and go do this, and now I can go do that, and now I can. And it's like, I think as humans, it's like what we talked about in service today a lot is the fact of that we don't like that. We don't like to sit still in our silence. And we feel like that if we do that, I guess number one, we're not accomplishing anything. But that number two, it's like we allow our thoughts and we allow our lives just to kind of like creep in on us per se. And you just feel like that you get lost in something. Like I was telling people today, I said, if I sit 10 and 15 minutes in silence, sometimes like I'll be thinking about a problem over in Belgium or something,
Right.
And I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be a time of just peace and reflection or whatever. And it's like my mind has raced so far that I'm out in left field somewhere thinking about something that has nothing to do with me personally, or something that I can't solve personally. But that's where I've allowed my mind to wander to. And I think as Christians, I just think as people in general, that we try to fill our time with things that keep us going and moving because we're afraid of that silence and we're afraid of I don't know, man. I mean, I think we've lost the art of conversation. I think we've lost the art of just expressing ourselves without technology and things like that. Like just having again those face to face conversations. And I think that scares us. I think that scares us to a point of where we always have to be moving. We have to be active. We have to be doing something. And man, I tell you what, like that's pretty detrimental to your physical health.
I think it's just we've gotten like addicted to the drive, or like are addicted to the go and do and move, and like it's like it's almost like like if you take time to like sit still, it's like you're detoxing. If anybody's listening or watching, they've been through an addiction or something like that. The detox or the withdrawal symptoms, make you feel like you're going crazy.
Right.
And
right.
I think we've gotten so addicted to whether it's social media scrolling, whether it's what's on TV,
like I'm doing right
binge
now.
watch, yeah, exactly. Like we become so addicted to those things that when we separate ourselves from them or we take a break from them, it makes us feel like we're going crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel that myself big time. Like I hate being bored. That's how I say it in a nice way. Like I hate being bored, but ultimately I want to stay. Like I want something interact. I want something to interact with at all times. Somebody to talk to, something to do, something that keeps me and my mind busy and operating and moving.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you don't have that, when you take that away, it's like you're just like going stir crazy.
Well, that's like my wife has been sick this week, and so it was. I don't know, man. It was like maybe day 2 or day 3 of being sick, and I mean, if anybody knows my wife, like she's very rarely just sitting on the couch. Like she's always doing something, always up moving and whatever. This was like day 3 of sitting on the couch, and she's still like feeling pretty rough, and she's like, I've got to do something. Like, I've got to get up and do something. She's like, I don't care if it's washing clothes, if it's doing something, like I've got to do something. She's like, I just can't sit here. And I'm like, your body is telling you that you need to sit, that you need to sit still. Your body's telling you to rest, that it's trying its best to fight off this sickness and things like that. And it's like, but our minds are just programmed to just be like, if I'm sitting still, then the day's getting away from me, opportunities getting away from me, and things like that. And it's like, that's a dangerous mindset, because again, you're not allowing your body the time. You're not allowing your mind the time. You're just not allowing time to be rebuilt, refreshed, and things like that. And I feel like even spiritually, that's a problem that we have with God, is that we want God to move, but it's like we don't want to sit still for God to move, and we don't want to wait on God to move. It's like, God move, and then it's like, I need God to move before I move. Just like that. Oh yeah. So it's like we have that. We have just this battle, this internal battle of the mind, of the heart. I don't know. It was just like, I've always got to be doing something. I got to be going somewhere. I got to be. And if I'm not, then I'm a failure. Or I'm not accomplishing, or I'm lazy, or and that's not the case.
And I fight that a lot. Like I said, I hate boredom, and like I said, ultimately, I need something to interact, something to do. But like, it's like I'm always chasing that something, and I'll find days, because my wife gets mad at me because she loves sleeping. I hate it, because I know my body needs it. But I hate sleeping because I feel like it's wasted time.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes back to what we kind of started talking about in the beginning of the podcast. I feel like I put so much time into work. I'm there for 8.5 hours. And then by the time you come home, and then by the time you finally get, you eat dinner, you get kids in bed. I've got an almost 2-year-old and an 8-year-old, and so by the time you get them in bed, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock, 10:30, and you're like, all right, and then my wife's like, all right, let's go to bed. I'm like, I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
I was like, I have not done anything.
Right.
It's like, and so like and sometimes, I'll go in there and lay down, and like, I'm just like, I have some time. And, we talked before about, you have time for what you want to have time for. You make time for what you
do
want
what you want to do.
Do what you want to do. And I'm like, I get so, I'll go to work and I'll be tired. I'm like, why am I tired? Bill, it's because you stayed up till 12, 1 o'clock, playing games or watching shows or doing things that I want to do,
right?
Because I've spent all day doing things other people needed me to do.
Oh,
and so it's sometimes I run into that, and like I said, my wife doesn't quite get it, and other people I talk to don't quite get it, 'cause she loves sleeping.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I said, I just can't, like, to me, if by the time the kids are in bed, it's time for me to go to bed, I feel like I've done nothing all day.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I have done everything that everybody else needed me to do, and now I want some time to do what I want to do.
Right.
But unfortunately, a lot of times, by then, I'm exhausted. So it's just like, I'm sitting here fighting sleep, playing a video game, like, falling asleep, passing the controller, falling out of my hands.
Right.
Or like, I'll be sitting there trying to read something, and I have to reread the same sentence like 12 times because I fall asleep halfway through it. And it's just those types of things. It's hard. Ultimately, I think it's just so hard to balance all of that.
Yeah.
To find time to relax and do what you want to do while also not being bored, while also doing what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, there's just so much. I think being, we always joke about, like when you were a kid, you want to be an adult, and then when you become an adult, you want to be a kid again.
True.
Because it's just like, you think you have all this great and amazing stuff, but you realize just how good you had it when you were a kid. I think I was thinking back the other day, I just, how much I miss, those days, like the snow days. This is when I think it really hit me. Is you'd have those snow days, and my job is still expecting me to be at work for the most part, but these kids are out of school. And I remember the school days, back. I used to love the school days because I'd wake up, I'd be playing video games, playing with toys, watching TV, watching movies, relaxing, chillaxing, whatever you want to call it. I said, but now as an adult, I just have to worry about not dying on the way to work. Like I said, like it's
True.
just it's so it's such a heavy hit once it hits you, that realization. You're just like, man, like I remember I used to look forward to snow days. I used to pray for snow days. And now I'm like, God, I hate this freaking snow.
Yeah, right. Because now I got to sacrifice my life, my vehicle, and everything else, and it's all in the name of a corporate
making somebody
economy.
else richer.
I was going to say a corporate economy, but I feel a lot like you do, and I tell people all the time, like my choices are my choices, and I take full responsibility for them. But I said, I like me myself, my health, my physical health, my personal health. is something that I take great pride in, and because I wish I would have started a lot earlier in life, just for the simple fact of,
Get it.
yeah, I know,
Like, I'll
man.
do it.
But like, I mean, of course, every teen goes through it where you can eat 3 Big Macs at 2 a.m. and it just falls off of you, and then all of a sudden you're still eating 3 Big Macs at 2 a.m., but it's all collecting on you at that point, and
Collecting on you, coming out of you.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. It's bad, man. It's bad. And so for me, like I'll work now. I drive one way about an hour 20, hour 25 every day one way. So I mean, I spend probably close to 3 hours on the road. Just getting back and forth to work on top of the 8 to 5, which is 9 hours, I think. Right. So. So that's a good 12 hours of my day that's already spoken for, and yeah, I mean it's gone, and so, but then after that, I make the choice, and again, it's my personal choice. But I stop by the gym, I work out, and I do my thing there before I come home. And so, most nights, if it's not a church service on Wednesday night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, well, yeah, I mean, again, I work from home on Mondays and Fridays, but even those nights that I get off at 5 and I'm working at home, I'll leave and go to the gym, and I still don't get back until 8:30. And kind of like Nick said, by the time you eat and you take a shower, it's 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and you have to tell your kids go to bed, and you've not had 25 minutes with your kids, or you've not had whatever the case is, and so you sacrifice time, you sacrifice sleep, you sacrifice whatever else to have that time with your family, and and I guess I can see like it's such a I don't know how to say it. It's powerful decisions because it's affecting the nuclear family. It's affecting basically everything you do in your life. I mean, like your choices, whether it's work or whatever. It's like, man, it has such an impact on how you spend your time, because how you spend your time is gonna basically equivalate out to everything you see around you. So
We end up just giving our leftovers to everything else.
Oh yeah,
It's just like
yeah.
I give my leftovers to my goals, to my passions, to my desires. Like,
Right.
like anytime I have leftover at the end of the day, that's what my kids get. That's what my wife gets. That's what my husband, whoever you have in your life, it's
Yeah.
just like that's what they get, is they get my leftovers. I'm already burnt out, tired, and exhausted, by the time I get home. And then you're, like you said, you're trying to take care of kids, trying to cook dinner, trying to clean around the house, all this sort of stuff, and then you're just left with leftovers at the end of the day, and you can kind of be like, what do I do with it?
So as a parent or as a person, even, like, how do you get to a point of where you can negotiate your time? And I know people are going to say like entrepreneurship, like own your own business, do your own thing, run your own stuff, and I get that, and I think that is a lane for a certain specific type of person, but I do know that there are a lot of people out there that would fail at entrepreneurship because I mean, just to be blunt, that they don't have the committedness, they don't have the consistency, and they just don't have the willpower to do it. And so some people will be in a system for the rest of their life, and that's fine. But it's like as a parent or as a person, it's like, where do you break the monotony of the 8 to 5, the 9 to 5? Where do you break the monotony of the travel? Where do you break the monotony of, I'm going to make bad decisions about my life, my finances, or whatever? And kind of like going back to what you said, at the end of the day, I'll just give the people that truly matter, my spouse and my kids, God, yeah, exactly. And I mean, we hit a lot on that, at the very end of service today. But it's like everything else that matters, quote unquote, like I will give them the rest of what I have left, instead of going like, I'm going to give them my best because they deserve it. Because in spite of like, I know people need money to survive. I know people like need money to play in the economy that we have today, and I get that. But we let, I guess, our job, and we let our life in that regard run us so much that it's like that becomes the most important thing. Because without that, it's like our job has become our God, and it's like, without that, I don't function. Without my job, I don't get paid. Without my job, I don't have insurance. Without my job, I don't have a car. Without my job, I don't have a house. Without my job, I can't go to the doctor without my job, blah blah blah. It's like, and it's almost like we idolize the job. Like we have this false idol that so many people dealt with.
I don't know if I would say it. I mean, some people I think it's an idol, but older people I think it's like a slave master.
Yeah.
It's somebody who's just like whipping them, being like, if you don't do this, you're dead.
but that's almost like a god in itself, though. I mean, like if you go back and look at like the Old Testament and stuff, like that's what, like, I mean, it was like this. They had these gods that they served, or these idols that they served, that basically they became slaves too. And it's like whatever they asked them to do, whatever they told them to do, that's what they done. And so I get that. Like it's you do the same thing with your job. And I've had people ask me, like I had somebody ask me the other day. I was talking about another job actually, and I told him, I said, at the end of the day, like what matters to me most is not really money. You can always make more money, but you can't always get more time. Mm-hmm. And I said, right now I'm trading time for money, basically. And I would rather trade money for time. Like, I would rather have time on my hands.
Most valuable resource.
It is. And that's the crazy part to me, Nick, is that like time is more valuable than money. And because you can always find a way to get money, but you can't go back and get more time. Mm-hmm. Like it's like, 24 hours in a day is what we have. And so what you do with it is your prerogative. But you can't go get more of it. You can't borrow from tomorrow. You can't get from yesterday. It's like you're in this moment. And if whatever you choose to do in this moment, like we said before, like we were talking, it's like, all right, let's stop talking, let's tape, because, hey, we got time. Let's go home.
We complain about the time we don't have, and we sit here until 6 o'clock doing a podcast.
Type situation. Yeah. But at least you have control of that, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that you have control of that time. And that makes a huge difference. Because, I mean, right now we could be like, all right, that's it. We've said what we need to say. We're cutting it off. We're going home. Nobody's holding that over our heads. Nobody's saying, well, if you don't do this, you're fired, or a situation type deal. It's like, I don't know. I'm from an old school, but I have some new mindsets on some situations. So it's like, I think people need to work. I think working is good. I think jobs are good. I think economies I get it. Like, I think it's good. But I do also think that there has to be something in there. There has to be like a buffer. There has to be like some kind of space or something where it's like we have to start. We have to start like showing people that working your knuckles to the bone, it is not the most important thing in life.
Like I like to think. I don't say I like to think, but as you were saying that, I'm thinking, like our parents and their parents, their generation, they were known, like their identity was in their work.
Yeah. Their work ethic.
Like I remember, my grandpa, he worked on tractors. My grandpa, he was, a farmer. I remember that's how people know them.
Uh-huh.
And they knew them as that, or oh yeah, your grandma, she was a teacher, for 57 years, that's what she did. That's who she was.
Yeah.
It's like that generation has made work their identity. But it's gotten to a point now, and we've talked on this, I think, even a little bit with Alexa a couple of weeks ago. Like we've gotten to the point now where we have to have room for that emotional connection with people. It's like people's back then it was work. Like that's what your worth was built on. That's who people knew you for. But now it's different.
Yeah.
Now people know you based on how you treat them. People know you based on, how you talk, what you say, what you post, what you share, what you comment. That's what people know you for.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can be this diehard workaholic. I was just listening to a podcast this last week about workaholism. But you can be that diehard workaholic. Is that a
word?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can be, you can be this diehard workaholic, but that means, like, if you take that word, break it apart, that means you're addicted to work. And I think a lot of people in our parents and grandparents' generations were workaholics. That was their identity. That's what, if they didn't have work, they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
That's how they provided. That's how they created a reputation for themselves. But we have, some people may say evolved, some people may say devolved. But, to the point in society today where it's like, that's not what we want to be known for. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to be known as an IT marketing guy. Like, I don't want that to be my identity.
Yeah.
As I'm sure you don't want, salesman to be your identity,
Right.
And so it's just like, we want people to know us for different things, but, and so that desire to be known for different things is conflicting with the amount of time we're spending on things we don't care about.
Well, I think it's crazy because, like, I mean, being a pastor's got some really good things, and it's got some really down things, as far as the servanthood part of it. One thing is funerals. Like, I've been very blessed not to have to do a lot of funerals, but been to funerals, been a part of funerals, preached some funerals, whatever. But one thing you never hear people say is that, like, you never talk about, like, oh, he gave 42 years to teaching, or whatever the case is, or maybe I haven't heard it. I mean, maybe they talk about it in some regards, but like at funerals, it's not about like your job per se. Like you said, it was about the person that they were. It was about
They were loving.
they were, yes,
kind, they were
yes,
compassionate.
they were an outstanding father or mother. They were a great friend. So it's like, it's crazy that we get mixed up in the life that we live. uh and like you said, maybe an identity crisis of this is what I do, this is who I am. But like, at the end of life, it doesn't really matter, because nobody ever keeps score of that kind of stuff. Everybody keeps score of how you were, who you treated right, the stuff you did wrong, whatever, like that type of situation. So again, I know that we need money to survive. I get it. Like, I understand that completely, but it's like, we have to be able to kind of balance this in such a way where our bodies, our homes, our relationships are not failing because our priorities are wrong, and because we're prioritizing what we feel like is important and what we feel like is providing. But as we've said and reminded people many times, is the fact of that, it's God that gives you the health to even go do this to begin with. It's God that allows you to even go do this to begin with. So without him, without that, it's like we have nothing. We have absolutely nothing whatsoever. And I think people will tell you too, especially people that have been injured or can't work anymore, or whatever the case is. Like I don't think that they would have any problem telling you, like, these places that claim, quote unquote, to need you, to love you, that they
It's a
want you.
family.
It's a family type atmosphere. We care about your family, and it's like, but the moment, the time, the second, the snap of a finger that you can't provide a service for them anymore, you're gone, you're done. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
and
a lot
and
of times one screw up.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, so then you step back in that regard and you go, man, like, and I live by this
I
motto.
gave my
People,
life to this job.
I live by this motto, man. I mean, I really do. I'm like, I am not going to sacrifice my life for somebody that would replace me tomorrow. I mean, I'm just not going to do it. Like,
Yeah.
and it may cost me a lot. I mean, I may never whatever accomplish great things inside of a work industry somewhere, but as I've told many people, like, the most important thing to me is the calling God has on my life. My wife, my family, like, those are the most important things to me. God can always do another job. God could always give me another opportunity. God can always do that. But like, I'm not going to veer away so far away from what God has called me to do that I'm going to place my identity in, something that, yes, it may be providing, a good pay. It may be providing good benefits, but it's like, what is it costing you? What is it costing you to do this? Is it costing you time, effort? Is it costing your relationship at home? Are you missing out? I was telling somebody, I said, man, I'm missing out on some of the most important years of my kid's life. Like, they're 13 and 10, and I'm seeing them 37 minutes a day. Like, that's kind of crazy, right? Like, even if I wasn't going to the gym, if I drove home, I'm still getting home at 7, and it's like, at 7, I might have a couple of hours with them. I mean, so it's like, is a couple of hours going to be impactful? Like, I give not, it's crazy. It's crazy that as a
Kind of makes you
society,
mad the more you think
I
about
know,
it.
like, now I'm
Like
starting to get on a
you're-
rant a little
Yeah.
bit. It's like, but as a society, it's like we devote 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, sometimes more, a day to a workplace, but yet we devote 2 hours or less to our kids. And it's like, what's more important?
What's wrong with our kids?
Yeah,
These days? What's
exactly.
going on with
Well,
these kids? What's
exactly. And
happening?
it's like, well, what's more important? Investing in our kids for a future generation, or investing into a corporation that could give 2 cents less about you, a day from now, a year from now, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk, before about this whole idea. I think it was that money financial problems episode where we talked about just
That
like
nobody gave us an answer
yeah,
to.
nobody gave us an answer to, but where it's kind of like that boundary line of I want to be good in the future, but also enjoy today. Like that,
Yeah.
trying to find that balance between saving up now It's kind of like that idea of, if I work hard today, I can have time with my kids tomorrow,
Right.
or not necessarily a day span, but, if I work hard this year, I can have, I can give my kids this next year.
Right.
But, you take that whole year and you don't ever do anything fun with your kids. You
Yeah.
don't have any time with them. You don't do anything fun with them.
Yeah.
And so it's just trying to find that healthy balance of, like, knowing that there's things that have to get done, knowing that there's bills that have to be paid, but also not killing your relationships, not killing your relationships with your wife, husband, kids, whoever else, not killing yourself where you don't have any time to relax or enjoy things you want to do.
Right.
Trying to find that balance between all of that is very, very difficult. And I will, I'll be the first person. Like, I talk to Keenan and my wife and my mother-in-law a lot about, some of the people that I work with, like they're out here sending emails at 2:00 in the morning, 7:00 at night, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I refuse to be that person.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get that, I'm thankful for this job. I'm glad I have this job, but I give 40 hours a week to this job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I am not going to drive myself nuts trying to fix a problem that somebody has at 2:00 in the morning or 7:00 at night. Like I said, that is my me time, my family time. I said, like, you work 40 hours a week, and then, you have all these people like, oh, you're going to work more than that. Like, see ya.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I will not.
Yeah.
The very rare occasion will I do something small for somebody after I have clocked out. And so it's just like these types of things. It's hard. And the thing is, what's really sad is, like, me saying that, there are people out there who are hiring that would be like, absolutely not, I'm not hiring that person. You're like, it's like, I want somebody who's willing to give their life for this job.
Mm-hmm.
I want somebody who's willing to work 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week. And, like, that's crazy to me. You are literally running that person into the ground and wonder why they hate you. You're running that person into the ground, wondering why they're burnt out, wondering why they're making mistakes, wondering why they're miserable, wondering why they're going through a divorce, wondering why they're losing their
Right.
kids.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just running these people into the ground for your own personal gain. I get, maybe you're working in healthcare, maybe you think you're helping people, maybe you think that employee is helping people, but at the end of the day, it's all about you making more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care who you are, what you say, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's just a matter of, like I said, I'm sitting there clenching my fist. But, I think it's just so much, like, of the things that we were talking about this episode, and maybe we're just venting to everybody on this listening this week. But, I think it's just one of those things that we've run into in corporate America, or in America in general. And I honestly feel like this is something people throughout the world can feel.
Oh yeah.
It's just, finding that balance, finding that right, balancing act between, the job you feel like you have to do and the life you want to live.
Right.
And I think that's very, very difficult, and it's comes down to the idea of, I trust in God as my provider, and it's kind of what Keenan was hitting at a little bit earlier. There's always going to be another job.
Mm-hmm.
If my employer doesn't like the work-life balance I've created, then God will bless me with another job. It's just one of those things where it's like, you have to follow your convictions, do what you feel like God wants you to do. And, I can almost guarantee you that God doesn't want you killing yourself 60, 80 hours a week at a job.
Yeah.
He doesn't want you to forsake. We talked when that one Wednesday night we did small groups. Men, whoever the head of the household is, like, God wants you to be there for your kids, to guide them, direct them,
right.
protect them. But you can't do that if you're spending all your time just making more money at work.
Yeah.
And it's there comes a point where it's like, you have to ask yourself, what's more important to you? It more is time with your kids, seeing your kids grow up, having fun in the moment. Are those things more important, or is saving up for the future, killing yourself today, eating ramen noodles every night, like these sorts of things? Is that what's best for you?
Yeah.
What is creating the best life for your family, for yourself? Because at the end of the day, it's kind of what you were talking about before altar call today. We end up giving God our leftovers because we're just exhausted.
Yeah.
It's like, I've spent 80 hours a week at work. I just really don't want to go to church on a Wednesday night. Like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I don't really want to go to church on Sunday because I get Saturday off. I've just spent Saturday doing all my chores, going to the grocery, getting a haircut, and all these sorts of things. And now I got Sunday. Like, I want to enjoy my Sunday. I don't want to give 3 hours to church.
Yeah.
And so, we end up giving all these. Same thing with money. We're afraid to give God 10% of our paycheck because we've already wrote that out somewhere else. Like, my whole paycheck's got to go to this. My whole paycheck's got to go to that. And we put ourselves in that system. So it is a very difficult balancing act to find the answer to.
Yeah, I agree, and I think, I mean, of course, balance. I tell everybody, if I suck at anything, it's balance.
Mhm.
And usually, I heard a good saying one time. It's like usually, if you're doing great in one area, you're just sucking in
Yep.
another, and that is true. I mean, there's always going to be a fire to put out. Like we get that, but again, I just feel like it goes back to what you want to see and what you want to accomplish. I mean, again, some people might listen to this episode and be like, "Y'all are crazy. I'm gonna work, 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 work,
Yeah, y'all
work
are lazy
now."
bums.
Yeah, so that way, like you'll get ahead in 5 or 10 years or whatever the case is. And then some people might listen and go, "I
When I
agree with
retire
you."
at 75, I'm gonna have the money I want to
Yeah,
go on cruises.
absolutely.
But then you
So
die at 62.
62 in a
Yeah.
day, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So 62 in a day, but so I don't know, man. Like I'm an old soul. I got some new mindsets and stuff, but like I wish personally I could have been a part of those days where people were talking about things were shut down on Sunday, like nobody done nothing, like you went home, you spent time with your family, you had to me,
Back
man.
before the world. I don't even know what to call it, because I mean, to me, I'm thinking like we talked about earlier, like that addiction to the hustle and bustle, like
Yeah,
that it always needing to be stimulated, and always needing something going on in front of you and doing something always. Like we need to make a term for that and like submit it to the dictionary. I feel like we need to come up with this, because it is like before, if we go back to the time before that, like
mhm,
I remember back, my dad talking about all the time, how he was, outside playing. My mom talking about outside playing until
yeah,
dark,
yeah,
and out here never bored. Like
right,
it's like they always
right,
had something to do, always,
right.
and it's because they didn't have that addiction. I really do believe that the society that we are in today has created neural pathways in our brain that just cause us to go absolutely bonkers when we're
Yeah,
not stimulated, when we're not doing something,
I see it.
and it's horrible.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
yeah.
it's horrible.
Yeah, I see it. I see it for sure. So, if there's anything you can take away from today, it's that whatever your balance is in life, just know that there are things that are important. Whatever's important to you is whatever's important to you. But just from a Christian aspect of what we try to say and do here, it's like there's this pyramid type deal where it's like God, then it's like your family, and then it's like you work from there, and it's
Mhm.
like if you get it out of order, if you get it out of order at any point in time and you place stuff before God or you place stuff before your family and things like that, like it's going to get pretty crazy in your life and you're probably going to see a lot of stuff happen. But if there's anything we can pray about, it's simply to just like, hey, God, put a desire more for, or whoever's
Yeah,
just
there's a
passing through with
science.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's anything we can pray about, it's the sirens. But it's just that kind of like we were saying today towards the end of service. It's like God, just whenever we get up in the morning, allow us to have what you've given us, which is that heartbeat and that breath, and let us use that for you. And I feel like if we start off with God first, if we put God first, if we're not involved in in the Facebook drama, if we're not involved in the TikTok series, if we're not involved in the emails, things like that. Like if you're not involved in that, but like you start in the Word and you start in prayer and you start in things like that, it's like giving God his what is his and what is due to him is gonna, I feel like, become easier and easier, and I feel like it's gonna become more of a priority in your
Mhm.
life. And so, like, if you could start off that way, if you could use what God's given you at that moment in time, the other things like your time, your money, your talent, like that will follow. But as that's kind of like what the Holy Spirit was showing me this morning. It's like if we can't give him the first of something that he's given us, we're not gonna give him the time. We're not gonna give him the money. We're not gonna give him the talent. We're not gonna give him that because we can't give him the simple things like breath and a heartbeat. And if we can't do that, then we're gonna struggle, in a lot of different areas. So that's just me. But anywho, again, like Nick said, we hope that you don't that it doesn't feel like a venting session today. I think maybe we kind of tied it up with kind of like balance in general, and it's like what's important and what needs to be important in your life. And if you feel stressed, if you feel exhausted, slow down.
You're not
Don't.
alone. Number
Right,
one,
right, right. But don't be afraid to hit the stop button. Don't be afraid to hit the pause button.
you have
And
PTO and sick time for a reason.
you do, and maybe
Your
even
phone has a power button for a reason.
right, maybe even go to your supervisor or somebody, and just be like, look, man, like I am not I'm a hard worker, but it's like I'm not feeling it right now, man. It's like it's crazy what people go through these days that they don't voice things about, and things like that. But just for me, again, like I said, man, be able to know what that balance is and be able to know that there are more things important in this life than just a paycheck and staying a slave to a system that in the end doesn't really care about you at all.
Exactly. Finding that balancing act is going to be a hard thing for a lot of people to do. I think it comes down. We've talked a lot on this podcast about that introspective look. Looking in.
Mm-hmm.
Asking yourself what's important, where are your priorities. What do you want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? And trusting God. If God is asking you to make a drastic change, a drastic, difference, or whatever it may be, just trusting Him with that. As we were saying, God will provide you with another job. God will provide you with what you need. God will take care of you. If you're putting Him first, ultimately, that's the important part.
Right.
And if you're putting Him first, then He will take care of you. He will provide for you. And, as the Bible says, if you put Him first and you obey Him, then, you will see victory. You will have victory in every battle. He will take care of your every need. So, it's just ultimately, about putting Him first, giving Him the first, whether it's your 10% of your paycheck first thing you say when you get out of bed in the morning, you pray before you go in your car, before you walk in your workplace every morning, giving to God, giving God that glory, giving God thanks, praying to God, asking for help. And there's been many days recently, like I said, I've been just feeling more and more exhausted in the last few weeks, but where like before I get out of my car, I'm just like, God, give me the strength to get out of this car.
Yeah.
give me the strength to go in here and face this day.
Right.
And so just coming to God first in all things and everything that you do. I think doing that will help you find at least some sort of balance, because He will show you what's important.
Yep.
He will show you what you need to be spending your time, effort, and money on. But as Keenan said, if you don't put Him first, then you're just relying on yourself. You're relying on your flesh. You're relying on your own desires, your own thoughts. You're relying on your bills. You're relying on all these things. As to where you're putting your time, effort, money, and energy. So putting Him first, I think will help you get at least some semblance of balance.
Amen. Well, we love you guys tremendously. Again, we hope that something is said and done that will help kind of direct your life in a pathway to make it more peaceful and more prosperous at the same time. So we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you hitting the download button. And until we see you again, we love you and be blessed.